Welcome, hardcore Halloweenies, to tonight's special edition of SpoFest with the absolutely amazing James Bryant and all of you here. And we're having an unstructured, just like Halloween when the bones are gone, event, and we're just going to wing it. So everybody put on your bat wings and your scary, scary, scary voices, and we will get ready to read whatever you feel like reading tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to James because I'm not sure I was actually supposed to say all that. All right, I'm going to continue and tell you.
Yeah, sorry. I'm all shook up. No, I'm all tied up here. We're live, so yeah, please go ahead and
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I will just start calling on some people to read. And if you want to read first, if you're ready now, you can go ahead and raise a hand. I don't know if you know how to do that at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, I will call you randomly. And if you're not ready or you want me to go on, we'll just move on until everybody's had a chance. So, and I am going to call. Okay, great. I see a lot of enthusiasm from chat. And also, please forgive me if I misspell or mispronounce your name. But I'm going to start with Baki Kamstra. Did I say that right? If you would like to give us your spooky best tonight. Because I know I saw
Bauke.
Awesome. Bauke?
Yeah, I can go first for the first time.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm frightened, but it's that kind of night.
Well, good. That's what we want.
So I'm not really a horror person, but I tried to pick out a few poems that might bear some relation to tonight. And the first one's called Dead Flower Rapture. I steal a single bloom from her gladiolus. I liked it, but I forgot a flower's integrity, and it died. I've had this bloom for a while now, for weeks. It is still dead. And I know now it will remain dead. But it is still beautiful. This next one is called Sadness. Sadness. Is the sin of knowledge innocent? Will I, in strength, find more sanity? How did I become weak? For both innocence and strength deal unequally with grief. My next one's called Out in the Yard. The boneyard here was lie-down room only. A few shallow niches for urns with herbs that had fallen in their cascading rows. And when autumn greenery that had nibbled at spring rains and a weeping sun laid in the shade. I still don't know where we're going. I know some think it is this place, that this is where it ends. I suspect we've come no further than when we began. I do not know what life we might move into, but it just seems odd somehow to finish it here. One more, Pharmacopoeia. All life is wrapped in tissue and medicines, in secrets, hidden in cobwebs, coughing up sweet inner juices. They leave sticky traces on my brain and a warm, musky scent. Inside, the slate gray shades darken, charting carved obsidian thighs, and now, wherever you go, I am afraid. End poem.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing those. And I will say, you may think you don't write a lot of horror, but those were quite good. I invite you to tread on the darker paths more often.
Thank you. I think.
And I like this, Angela. I like the idea of you providing a little editorial comment after each reader, and then I will ask the reader really, really quickly, can you give us something that was memorable from Halloween that you experienced? Anything memorable or pretty dull? This is to you, Baka.
Well, when I was young and foolish, some people think that's never changed. But I was running around with some friends in a orchard, and we saw a police car go by, and we all sort of threw fruit at the police car, ready to run away laughing. Well, I'm not absolutely sure it was me, but I'm pretty sure it was my apple that went right through the open window and bonked the policeman and certainly set him hot on our trail. So that's as close to a Halloween story as I have.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you very much for being here, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube and hopefully some other places as well. Got a couple more people that joined tonight, so over to you. And I forgot to turn on the dinger. The timer, the dinger has been activated. So back to you, Angela. Who we have stepping up to the mic to scare the hell out of us next?
I'm glad to know that the bell will be tolling if we go over 5 minutes, because I did wonder about that.
Yes. Yes.
But yes, so beware for the bell to toll, and that tells you your time is dead. So okay, I could go all night with the Halloween puns because I do love Halloween. But moving on, how about Christopher Moore? What horrible and haunting things do you have for us tonight?
The only thing horrible about my poem is that it's a repeat poem, because I have nothing new. If those of you were there at the prompt and rough draft event, I'm just going to read the poem that I wrote for that. I was told a Russian witch put a curse on it. Others say it was a Soviet experiment in the 70s that went horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know how it came to rural Pennsylvania, of all places. I thought Paris, Rome, the Balkans. How it ended up in redneck Pennsylvania, God knows. My dog barked at it last week when it moved. I haven't seen the dachshund since that day. It ended up on the roof once. I don't know how, but its blood-red eyes looked through my window. I was able to knock it off with a baseball bat, but the next morning, several were in a circle in the front yard. There were so many pointed hats. So many pointed hats. Thank you.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. And I do remember that, but there you can never read that enough times.
I read it this past weekend. One of the Word is Right hosts that I know, she was having a Halloween show event open mic, and I read that, and almost everyone found it either hilarious or agreed that gnomes were creepy.
I'm on the gnomes are creepy team.
Although the host, though, because she lives in New Mexico, she doesn't really see that many lawn gnomes because there's a desert. But I told her, well, they can be desert gnomes.
Okay, because I guess you do have to have actual lawn for it to count as a lawn gnome, so that does make sense.
Christopher, can you share with us a frightening, scary story with us? And
Yes.
again, we ask everybody to make it very quick and brief so we can move on to the next reader. But we thought we'd add that little element to our event. So, what do you got for us, Christopher?
Well, my scary story, James, is this one time this guy promised me a badge.
Okay,
and I didn't get it.
We just ran out of time. You and your damn badges.
Technically, it was about Lee, not you. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you one for real. I think I see it. I see it. Yes. Um, okay. Thank you, Christopher. And Angela, if you would, let's do the on deck thing, just so it's not a complete. Even though this is a night for startling people, let's not startle them too much. So, if you would please let people know who's on deck after the current reader.
Okay, fine. If we're not going to terrify people. Okay. Well, I will say coming up, how about Finn Hall with Jack Varnell on deck? And Finn, if you're ready, what horrible, horrible, wonderful, and horrible things do you have for us?
Yeah, I'm ready. I have two. I have one I actually wrote last year, and it's called Samhain, where on whatever fulcrum you turn or grisly crosses burn, within the dark do warlocks ride, o'er fields and moors, knocking upon doors, holding for a kindly gift. Such thrift, I bequeath thee. Be not afraid, the howling winds and rain may fall, yea, fall as if the end of the world is nigh. I repeat, be not afraid, for witches, ghouls, and ghostly apparitions may prowl, and wizard boys with or without owls attempt to put a fright upon you, upon this All Hallows Eve. And so, like Hamlet, seem troubled by his past, and it may be still his future. Be not you be perturbed, disturbed, or otherwise put out. Instead, rejoice. You heard me right thus. Rejoice, rejoice. For walks the streets, young hopefuls looking for a treat, this day, this night, this Halloween. And this next one, I actually just wrote on Saturday night. You don't know me. I'm a taxi driver here in Aberdeen, Scotland, and I've doing it for a long time. So, too long maybe. And this one's called Possibly My Last Halloween. Saturday night drunks think in italics. With sodden shoes and laden eyebrows, they notice not. And evening end, slipping costume, where kings and elves combine in queues ready to go home, but cast back some hours hence, as ghosts and spirits without, before spirits look over within, set off on their separate journeys to celebrate All Hallows Eve, believing the future hold much promise and delight. Where there's chattering mummies and naked tummies and shorts so short and tight, it seems that Venus may escape with a guy in the ranger's top who hopes to cop a feel, not realising that it might bite. Where Deliveroo bikes go up one-way streets the wrong way because they can, as policemen ignore the cars and bus lanes, distracted by the bearded lady and identical angels. As early revellers stagger towards the pizza, where Oxford commas make an appearance with leather-clad nuns, nurses, Harry Potter wizards, zombies, excuse me, and exiting theatre-goers. And blue lights flash, not quite as much as Mad Friday, but not far off, remembering the time you did your car up with spiders and spooks, and no one looked, or even spoke, disappointed and never to be repeated. Thinking when you first saw Wally, or 2, or 3, or then the silver-haired Vulcan priestess slips out as you turn the corner, and poets hide words and pages to be read aloud later. I sigh. 45 years of pissheads and shitheads, my customers, and therefore benefactors. As much as I enjoy it, I don't want to do this anymore. Thank you.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. Scary, terrifying, beautiful.
Thank you,
All right.
Finn. And since I'm the host of the show, I can change my damn mind. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have people share little stories after everyone, because I realized that was kind of disrupting the momentum of things. So after everyone has read, if you have a story, a real life story that you would like to regale us with, we can do it. We'll do it at that time. So back to you, Angela.
Okay, well, I think you're trying to scare me a little bit, keep me on my toes, James. So that's okay.
Is
I
that
don't
okay if I scare you, Angela?
I don't have the corpse back here to keep me company. So all right, next we have Jack Varnell, and then on deck is Janet Wheeler, if that works.
Hi, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Halloween. I have completely blew off all the rules as I like to do. I got really excited today because I found a notebook that I lost about 10 years ago. So I got kind of sidetracked with that. And if I can get to the page, I will read you one of those. All right. This one is called So What Is Left? There is nothing. Consumption will kill us. It'll take a calendar week to determine if it's good for us or not. Wait a minute. Wait. Who's funding this study anyway? Are we destined to go the way of black coffee, eggs, or red wine? One day good for you, one day bad. Driven by the Wisconsin Dairy Council. That's what the California grapes heard somewhere. Just fast. Drive, juice, cleanse, build vigor, detox, then have the right beer in order to have a great life. Use the correct size tampon, dude. Then walk away, but never sleep with one eye open. It's pointless. You cannot see, and that causes unrest. And you know that you're a criminal. The unrest causes it. Do not get caught stealing when you should have been buying, or don't get caught selling out. Even the role of criminal comes honestly when you don't work. But it's the fucking robots and the apps that cause it. Chinese market manipulation, intellectual and real estate property sales, property or otherwise. Don't fail your kids and everyone else's. Everyone else's hates you already. It's your age and your experience that differentiate you. You always had to be different now, didn't you? You have no salvation to offer as usual. You've never seen this shit either. It's time to accept civic responsibility. Stop the presses, call the reporters, tweet your lazy ass off. Healthcare demands it. It's all propaganda anyway. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. And at the end of this, we're going to invite you to tell us your Halloween story. And we have, sorry, I am looking on my little chat list. We have Janet Wheeler coming up next with Vincent on deck.
And Vincent, I got your email with the YouTube link, so I will
Excellent.
get that ready to go.
Thank you, James.
Over to you, Janet. What do you have for us this evening?
I have a little piece of doggerel almost. It comes with a prop. Here's the prop. I don't know if it's going to be maybe too bright. There we go. That's him. And the name of the poem is The Song of the Electric Pumpkin. I am an electric pumpkin, and it's my job to scare you. But because I also like you, I simply must prepare you. For I'm an electric pumpkin, and when you plug me in, I'll frighten all your neighbors each year at Halloween. Yes, I'm an electric pumpkin. I have no flame or spark, but I will have an eerie glow when you light me in the dark. Oh, I'm an electric pumpkin. No seeds, no mess, no rot. Just take me out of the closet and I'm ready on the spot. Yes, I'm an electric pumpkin, and this is oh so clever. I'm made of plastic and other parts, and I will last forever. That's it. My one and only Halloween poem.
I love it. I love it. I think I need some of those electric pumpkin attributes. I could use a little bit of that.
It's pretty easy cleanup.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Awesome. Well, excellent. And you will be invited at the end of this to share your favorite Halloween memories.
Great.
And so I actually wonder if there will be an electric pumpkin in it. But now we have Vincent coming up to read and frighten us and terrify us. And then William Schlitzler is on deck. And I apologize if I said that wrong. Vincent, what have you got?
Thank you, Angela. I think that James is going to play what I sent him, or do you want me to read now, James?
I'm looking for the YouTube link. Hang on a second.
Do you want me to read a short travel
Okay.
while you get it ready?
Maybe the link is on the blog. Okay, hang on a second. Please stand by as we do something.
In the meantime, I can tell you my favorite, if you just want me to pass the time, I can tell you my favorite Halloween memory.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, James is probably wrestling with that darn corpse again. It's not
Yeah.
in my house today. It's in his house.
I hear you. Well, my birthday just passed, as you know from last week. So Halloween has always been very special to me because I would have Halloween-themed birthday parties growing up. So I would always look forward to Halloween, and it was just a very special holiday. I grew up in Massapequa on Long Island, which is the neighboring town to Amityville. So if everybody's familiar with the Amityville Horror House,
Yeah.
I have countless stories I can tell you about that. They actually changed the address to another address because there were so many people that would come visit it
Right.
every Halloween. You could just tell me when to shut up, James.
Shut up.
Okay.
Okay, I found it. Go
Okay.
ahead. Put yourself on mute, and we will hit play.
Okay. So this
And-
was a poem
Yell
that I
at me
wrote.
if you guys don't hear anything.
Okay. This is a poem that I wrote that TA narrated.
Red's Revenge by Vinnie Colon.
You hear it?
Don't stray from the path. Don't talk to strangers. Take heed, beware, and try to spot dangers. Words echo around your Red Riding head. True words ignored, your mother once said. Alone in the wild, you met a strange wolf. At first he seemed fun, cool, and aloof. But you were lost in the forest, fleeing from Mom's wrath. Did you miss a sign on the road as you strayed from the path? Pick her some flowers, he would howl as he'd exit. You thought this was strange, wondered if you should text it. Then off to your granny's without delay. There upon arrival, much to your dismay. Granny slumped in bed, she looked a little bit odd. Her worn-out false teeth now sharp and too large. In feral rage, he sprang up with tail like a flag, growling, "I'll eat you too, just like I ate the old hag." "Hold it now there, Wolfie," was your fiery retort. "How about some bread and butter and a nice glass of port?" "Slow yourself down, we have plenty of time. Let's make this night special. Relax, I'll pour the wine." Befuddled, the wolf was thrown for a loop. As Red buttered the bread, and poured him a snoot. Wolfie just laughed. I'll take my time and just enjoy both, drinking the wine and eating the loaf. He gobbled and drank, he demanded some more. Soon thereafter, the beast collapsed on the floor. Red smiled and winked as she turned to the door. Don't you know dogs can't eat chocolate and onion? Do you want some more? Are you having fun yet? The focaccia was spiked, and the babka had coca. And as for the wine, well, strychnine to choke ya. The moral of the story is to always choose the dare. Go it alone and uncover your hair. The night, it is black, the woods dark and deep. Always check the bed before you slip into sleep. Never talk to a stranger. Never trust a creep. Never stray from the path. Look before you leap. Wear your cape proud and leave them for dead. Red's only a color, a stigma made up in the head. Release your covered locks for all the world to see. Never let a monster tell you who you should be.
Ooh, that was a power combination there.
Thank you. A lot of it has to do with TA. I mean, he could read a phone book and make it sound interesting. So a lot of it has to do with TA. I mean, he could read a phone book and make it sound interesting. So a lot of it has to do with.
Sorry.
No,
You know what happened? What happened was there. I just realized it. For some reason, after I played that, it started to play the YouTube live stream of tonight's event. So anyway, all is well in the House of Madness.
I thought that was just some really good haunted sound effects. Honestly, James, I was very impressed.
During the reading, yes.
Well, no, the repeating and during the reading, like the whole thing.
Right,
But yeah, the repeating.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the ghosts in the house.
Yeah, I guess I should have just let that go and then let everybody go to bed tonight. I just let it just go on and 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 on. Love the poem. I love what TA did with the musical. It was very subtle, but it was very. It really catapulted the whole experience another notch. And of course, TA could narrate a phone book and make it sound good. So, thank you, Vinny.
Thank you for the
TA.
compliment. Thank you.
Is that all you wanted to share tonight, as far as the Halloween goes?
I mean, I have a couple jabbles, but that was like a 4-minute poem. I don't want to take up any more time.
Okay, well, share a poem. Share a story with us a little bit later on when we do the scary story segment.
Okay, sounds good.
So, all right, good stuff. Thank you, Benny. And back to you, Angela.
Right. Well, we have next up William Schlichter, which I apologize.
That was right that time.
Did I say it right that time? Sorry, I struggle with German names. I will.
That's okay.
My tongue is clumsy. But you are up reading, and then I guess next on deck might be me, because we have nobody else on our list unless I've missed anybody, and in that case, just let me know in chat.
All right. Well, this is actually my most recent published short story. At least the beginning is Halloween-esque. It's published in an anthology, Hawthorne Creek, and my particular piece was found in Hawthorne Creek. 3 titanium circular saw blades sink through the rotting flesh, sticking into the skull of the snarling undead. The razor-edged teeth sever whatever animates the putrid corpse. The duster-clad male warrior jerks on the bat, moving the attached saw blades from the zombie. The creature drops like a stone on the post office steps. The warrior draws back the bat as if he is a famed ball player, Mark McGuire, and prepares to swing again. Two more zombies lumber forward, unleashing moaning howls and crooked fingers to claw at the warrior. Before he swings again, a crossbow bolt smashes through the eye socket of the leftmost zombie. The greasy-haired bowman steps back to reload, allowing a sword-wielding, leather-clad Amazonian-esque woman to slice the head off the closest undead. The zombie head bounces off the post office steps into the street. 4 survivors remain. More zombies saunter forward, moaning and grabbing with fingers now atrophied into clawed hooks. The greasy-haired bowman raises his crossbow. A zombie goes down with a bolt in the center of the forehead. I'd say he got the point. That one's mine, the redhead indicates with a nod as she swings her aluminum walking stick, sinking the welded spike on its end into the zombie's chest. The baseball bat wielding man takes his turn again, removing a zombie's head from its shoulder. That's number 631. The redhead smashes her staff into a new undead. You're only 30 ahead of me. Her walking stick and his bat clang aloft together, acknowledging mutual admiration for each other's zombie dispatching prowess. And as if the smoldering glances they exchange are in the indication, admiration of another type for each other. Cut! The command freezes the approaching zombies in place. The duster-wearing man swings his bat towards the small khaki-clad man sitting on a director's chair. What do you mean, cut? Sheila and I had perfect chemistry. People are going to believe it when we hook up. You know the fans want it. The small khaki-clad man hops from his chair, jabbing a finger into the script in his hand, sending the pages flapping. The show's Bible says you never hook up during the whole series. If you get an apocalyptic girlfriend, we lose that female demographic that dreams of you saving them from biters. The duster-clad man throws his arms in the air. I hate guest directors. So why did you yell cut? Behind the yellow police tape holding Hawthorne Creek's citizens a block away from the post office, a young teen girl with bobbed hair leaps with excitement, tugging at her friend's shirt hard enough to its collar to release a small scream, signaling a tear. The boy grips her wrist, failing to uncurl her fingers from the fabric. Lucy, my mom will kill me if I rip another new shirt. Lucy releases her grip. Sorry, Finn, but when else will we ever get to be on the set of the best zombie show on television? And it's being filmed right here in Hawthorne Creek. Her voice dips to the sing-songy tone. Come on, I know you have a thing for Allison. To cover up his embarrassment, Flynn channels his mother's own overprotective tone. You realize the only reason they're filming is because it's a post-apocalyptic story wherein the world has fallen apart and we live in such a crap hole they don't even have to build a decaying set. Lucy bulls up her face and gives her best Yoda impression. Crap hole? Slimy? My home this is. You should be a little less weird if you ever want a boy to kiss you. Lucy pantomimes a gag as if to retch. Yuck. Okay, a girl then. I don't want to kiss anybody. Do you know how many germs are in the human mouth? And I'm 13. Can't I just be a kid? Who loves it when zombies rip open a person's chest and eat their brains? That's not normal kid stuff. One of the crews, sporting a zombies eats brains tee, approaches the yellow tape. Okay, folks, we're glad you're here to watch, but remember, when the director yells action, I need complete silence. Lucy jumps at the chance to speak to the crew member. Hey, mister, where's all the putrid goo that flows from the arrow's wounds? Or the blood splatter when the sword splits open rotten flesh? This show's rated mature for zombie gore. Shouldn't the head that rolled down the steps have left a blood trail? All done in post. It's easier to do these setups and then add digital blood in the studio. Lucy pouts. I wanted to see blood bags explode. I assume that's my bell.
The bell did toll, but what an ending.
Yeah, that was a nice spot there, to end on. And that is my short story in our newest anthology, Hawthorne Creek, A Collection of Secrets. And we didn't get to the secret, but we know some exciting bits are going on in our little town.
Yes, yes. Well, share that link in the chat, because I think now we have to find out what happens.
Okay, I sure will.
William, where are you located at, if I may ask?
Technically, right now I'm teaching in Garden City, Kansas, which is about 70 miles from the Colorado border, but I would consider myself stationed out of Springfield, Missouri. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm out here teaching for a couple of years and in the middle of nowhere. No zombies here, let me tell you.
Well, hello from Sedalia, Missouri. That's where I'm located. That's where
Awesome.
SpoFest headquarters are at, right here. And I believe your friend G.A. Edwards.
She did. Yes. In
Yeah.
fact, we're doing a couple book signings in November with this book.
Nice.
Yeah, I know
Nice.
I'm going to be there on the 19th at the bookstore, and there's some more information. I thought we were settling up one for the 5th, I believe, but don't quote me on that. But I know I'll be there the 19th.
Awesome. And feel free to follow SpoFest, because we do these poetry events online once a month, a featured reader event and a writing prompt event. Featured reader event the first Tuesday of every month, and the last Tuesday is our writing prompt. So
Awesome.
I enjoyed that, and you got some pretty good narration skills there too, with some of the
Thank you.
different voices. That was pretty cool. So thank you.
Well,
William,
I got to
for,
put my theater degree to work sometime.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, William. Great stuff. Thank you again for being a part of tonight's spooky Halloween event.
All right, and I posted the Amazon link to the Kindle version of that anthology, so please check it out. It's my most recent published book, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, William. Good stuff. Okay, Angela, we had Judy drop in. And I would like for you, Angela, after you read your 5 minutes, if you would select, so I sent you the first Dark Haiku chapbook, right? Just the first one.
You sent that to me? Wait, what did you say? Wait, what are we doing? What?
You sent me money from PayPal, right? You sent that in the, I said, I sent you the first Dark Haiku chapbook, right?
Yes,
Just the
yes.
first one? Okay. The reason why I asked, I've sent a couple other people 2 and other people 1. So anyway, if you could pick out a couple that are your favorite and share those after your 5 minute set. When you read.
Absolutely. And I actually got You Dark Up My Life as well, but I haven't gotten to read it yet.
Oh, okay.
Your second one. So.
Don't you love that? Don't you love that title?
I do. So, and I do have Judy in chat said she would be happy to read, so I do have her coming up next, if that's okay.
I would hope she would read. I would hope she would read.
Yeah, she kind of came in. She smelled the poetry being read and her spot coming.
Well, either that or she smelled my sweet Italian sausage that I fried up in the air fryer. That was really good. I've had air fryer in the skillet, but when it's in the air fryer, Okay, enough of that culinary stuff. All right, back to you, Angela.
All right, let's get Judy to read, if she's ready, the ever beautiful and effervescent J.R. Turek. I probably mispronounced your last name. I apologize. And then I think I'm on deck, and then I am reading from James Bryant's poetry book, right?
Well, actually, you read your stuff first in the 5 minute set, and then you can wrap it up by reading a couple of my,
Awesome. Awesome. And I have it right here on my Kindle. So yes, I turn the whole show over to Judy at this moment.
I don't want to cut you off, Angela. I'm delighted. I got dressed to go vote, and then I had no place else to go, and I was wasting time on Facebook when I saw this. Woohoo! I got lots of scary stuff. Let's see what opens. Okay, here we go. Yeah, well, here we go. To make it bigger on the screen, I can't read it. Okay, here we go. Mirror, mirror. Some days are kinder, a softer glow to smooth unruly lines. Other times She is a bitch, a bright light, a paparazzi, a front page revelation that I am no longer young and sought after. I've tried to smash her, but she is resilient beyond reason. I've cajoled, coerced, lied, but she seems made of steel, reflects her ire onto me. I hate her, plan ways to murder her. I've taken her down from the living room wall, but she appears lithe as a shadow. Everywhere I go, she is there, reflected in a store window, a glass case in Macy's, the horrid dressing room wall at the gym, even the freezer door at Kroger's. In a back alley downtown, I met her match. Swaddled in scarves and clinking bracelets, she hands me a small box. I pay her a week's salary and she disappears in a mist of smoke. Hurry home, open the box in the darkened basement, though I swear I can feel her eyes on me. A glass vial with bright red lipstick, a bright red liquid, and a small book, the leather like reptile skin that tears tiny slits in my fingers. Inside, incantations for every occasion. I follow the worn bookmark to find the page I need, read it, study it, memorize it. Creep up dark stairs, the verse practiced on my lip, but when I turn to the wall, she is gone. Not there, or bedroom, or bathroom, not anywhere. Crash. A tree limb like the finger of a demon smashes through the bay window, shards of glass like spikes in the couch, smaller pieces embedded in my scalp, slash my cheeks. I cower back into the basement. The vial is glowing, pulsing as though it ran through my veins. Tingling in my fingers reminds me that the book is clasped in my hand. As if bit, my hand spasms. The book falls open to the floor, to the page skittering with black bugs. I shudder. The bugs assemble like soldiers to form words. 2 drops on her forehead, and you will own her. A surge of calm propels me up the stairs, book in one hand, vial in the other. I call to her, beckon her to help me with a dilemma. My sugar-sweet voice chills me. The air crackles, and she fades into the walnut frame I bought in an antique shop 10 years ago. Her brow is lined with heavy creases, age spots like cancer spreading down cheeks to chin to neck. Her smile is a barely disguised grimace. I move my hand. She fades to a silhouette. I tell her to stay. I need her help, so wise and smart, and she appears 20 years younger. Her skin hugs cheekbones, no sags or bags, no jowls. My lids become lead weights. I feel craters fall beneath my eyes. My breathing becomes labored. I will not let her win. Head back, I spin a tale about my cruel sister, selfish and demanding, hurtful, and now she becomes me at 18, glowing with youth and confidence. My anger feeds her ego. And in a swift motion, I aim the vial and shake. Black clouds cover the sky. The floor beneath my feet bellows heat, and she screams. The walls bulge, windows crack, the house spasms as though in agony. I'm tossed to the floor, protect the vial, shove the stopper back in. Thunder roars overhead, rain pummels the roof, slants in through broken windows. Pages of the book flutter left and right, and the black bugs leap from the parchment and cover her face, gnawing and chewing. They fill her mouth, still her screams, and disappear in the folds of her skin. Silence. The book is blank. The vial is half filled with clear liquid, the sun bright as a night-lit stadium. I crawl to my feet, stand on teetering legs, and look into the walnut frame. Gasp. I am a teenager, fresh as farm milk, smiling, gorgeous. A small black speck in my right eye moves, then stops. No sign of her, but instinct tells me to keep the book and vial safe. I look again. That black spot? I could swear I saw a tiny pair of beady eyes, but no. That couldn't be. Could it?
Excellent. I guess we'll have to keep thinking about that. Thank you for that beautiful and spooky reading there.
Yes. Thank you, Judy.
It's kind of like I need to be able to have that ability because that would save me so many cosmetics. I don't know.
Mhm. Thank you again, Judy. We are having a little segment after our reading where we share, if you have anything, scary real life experiences. So if you'd like to participate in that, that is what we'll be doing here very shortly after Angela will read for 5 minutes, and then then she's going to read a couple my Dark IQ, her favorite from my first book, and then I will play a couple of my Dark IQ in my 5 minute set. But I won't take all my 5 minutes though. That's too much Dark IQ, and I don't want to drive you all to drinking. Unless you want to. So, anyway, until then, let's put our hands together for the wonderful Angela Eureka Smith, and she will be reading for us. She is a well-renowned writer, and I'm just making this bio up, by the way, Angela. No one's saying anything. Can anybody still hear me?
Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for you to make up this bio. I'm just wondering what will be on it.
Oh, okay.
No pressure, James.
Okay, no pressure. He is the Academy Award-winning badge holder of the United States, and
I wasn't going to announce that yet, James. I was keeping that a secret, but
I'm
I guess
sorry.
now that it's out, I will be
I'm
mobbed
sorry.
with all my fans.
Oh, and I see that scowl on Christopher Moore's countenance right now. I'm sorry, Christopher. Anyway, no.
I'll
let's
get my
not have-
revenge next week. Don't worry, James.
Don't get your revenge.
And maybe a badge.
A badge yeah. No, so thank you, Angela, for putting up with me and doing the co-host duty tonight. So let's welcome Angela Eureka Smith, everybody.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for putting up with me as a co-host, as I'm kind of not quite being able to see everybody, and my camera's not working for some reason, but I blame the sun flares. But I will not take up 5 minutes. I was going to read a little short story, but then I was like, it is Halloween, and my short story is about murderous meerkats, and that's not really Halloween-y. So instead, I'm going to read a ghost poem. And then whenever we're talking about our scary Halloween memories, I will share how this ghost poem was real, and this really happened to me, or this is based on a real story in my life. And I feel like I've read this before here, so I apologize if I've read the Nikekubi. And a Nikekubi is a Japanese ghost. It's basically like a vampire ghost head that wanders around at night. And I have a whole essay on it that I will not bore you with, but it's a really interesting monster ghost. But the Nikekubi. I thought she was there just for me, my own terror, a resident ghost. It made sense to me. The house was Victorian in the deep, deep South. Such places have ghosts. She hung behind me mid-air, her face contorted, her hair streaming down, plastered to her shrieking face. Silent, hateful screams. Like slick tentacles, her neck cords trailed to the ground, disembodied face soaked wet from drowning, or perhaps from her own tears. She couldn't tell me. My Nikekubi, out of place in Tennessee, out of place like me. And that's that. I'll keep that short and simple. And now I think we're opening up our spooky Halloween stories, right, James?
That was it? That's all you had to contribute?
I do have other poems, but I was gonna say I was gonna read your poems. Okay, I get it. That's where we're going.
No. No. Do you have another ghost related short poem?
Yeah. You know what? I pretty much every day is Halloween for me. So everything I write is pretty much like that. I'm scrolling as I talk. Okay.
Scrolling.
Onarigami is kind of like a thing that happens to Okinawan women and they become mediums. Doesn't happen to everybody. But so that's where the title for this goes. And I'm just ad-libbing that because I just scrolled up to it. Okay, and the Ryukin people, by the way, which are the Okinawan people, believe that the power of speaking with spirits and magic resides with women. So that's kind of what this is about. Onorigami. She spoke with the dead, appeased them with offerings, sat in for the gods. She could tell fortunes. Her tattooed hands, hajichi, talismans on skin, marks of pride magic. She negotiated with angry yokai, Yura and Nuru, the Lucian Kamenchu, working in tandem. Forbidden or not, they listened to the kami, not a government. Treasures of Yuku, those who bring life, bring balance, appease the demons. Onorigami, a vintage feminism, this world needs her back. And that's that. It's funny when I say all my poems are about ghosts and I start scrolling through madly at the last minute. I was like, wow, there's like no ghosts in here. So,
That you know of.
but yeah, other than the ones that are on Zoom tonight, messing around with this. But I am actually really excited to read your dark haiku, James. Really, really impressed. I did do my review on Amazon about this, and I don't want to get you a big head because I already know you have problems with your ego.
It's already pretty big. Ask my cat. It's pretty damn big. Trust me.
Yeah.
Don't make it any bigger.
Banshee's been giving me warnings. Okay, tone it down a little bit.
Yeah,
But I do want to say I really enjoyed these because not only they're not just dark haiku, they're dark in many ways, emotionally, but also the subject matter. And so I really loved how you put so much in just these just few lines. And I have to say, I know that haiku does not have to be the 575 syllable format, but it is my favorite because it's like you have to fit everything in a puzzle. And so my respect to you, sir, for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. And this actually is one of my favorites, which ironically is 13, which is one of my favorite numbers. And I really loved it because, again, this is one of the ones I was like, it's something dark, but it's multiple layers of darkness. So, and I will give everybody a warning. These are dark. So if you have never read James Bryant's book on dark haiku, some of these are very, very dark. All of them are dark. Some of them are darker than normal. This is my favorite of the whole bunch. Number 13, hurricane laughter. Into the eye of my storm, there is no shelter. And I had number 10, asleep at the wheel. I'm in an emotional wreck, wrong turn, crash and burn. And the internal rhyme as well, I liked in that. Number 7, a hole in my heart, the size of the universe, unable to patch. And number 6, and the first spelling of morning is M-O-U-R, like morning in sorrow, and the second spelling of morning is like the morning, the time of day. Consumed by morning, under a gray sky morning, ritual sorrow. Number 3, autopsy table, a clinical detachment, my dead life laid bare, which I couldn't help but think of Exquisite Corpses with that one.
Right, of course.
And what else was in here? I loved all of these. Oh, this one, number 14. I should have scrolled the other way. In this chest of mine, something red and something dead. My heart beats no more. You really put so much into these, James. And I actually bought the second one and I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but I'm really excited. And I am a haiku junkie. I do love haiku. This one
Well,
was
thank you.
super powerful.
And I must stop you because there's only 25 haiku per chapbook, and if you keep reading, you'll read the entire book.
Oh, that's true. Can I read one more? Just one more. I promise.
Okay.
Just one more. Okay, number 18. This was also one of my favorites. Because there's just so much like, in this one. Animosity, hating everything that is sacred, my hatred. So, and I will stop there. But yeah, this is a really, really, I was very impressed with this haiku book. And like I said, I finished reading it and then I went and got the second one that my Kindle just won't go on the title of, You Dark Up My Life. So I'll be reading that next and leaving another review.
Well, thank you, Angela, for those. That makes me smile. I do have a new batch of dark haiku that I'm working on. Who knows if I will, get it published. But there is a lot of darkness from personal experience in my life, and some of that kind of gets spilled out in these haiku. And I'm with you, because I know a lot of people nowadays are kind of doing some of the untraditional, the more non 575, but I really like the 575 because it really forces you to make sure every line is exactly 575. And that to me is, I love the challenge. Plus, I also like to add the extra layer of challenge by making some of the lines, the ending words rhyme with each other. I mean, it's already somewhat difficult when you have to do 575, but when you make things rhyme at the same time. And of course, traditional haiku is not supposed to rhyme, but of course, I'm a rebellious bastard and I like to go against the norm. So
Yeah, well, and also I'm with you on the 575 because I also write haiku like that. But all that tradition, it's development. It's the development of the art. And I know everybody's probably groaning like, oh no, two haiku people walk together into a bar and oh my gosh, what we had to put up with. So I won't keep going on about a haiku, but for all the people that are like, oh, it has to be about the nature, that has to be, we are nature. So I always feel like that is okay when we write. And then there's sci-fi-ku and horror-ku. And so really, I really enjoyed these. And I'm sharing the links to these in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. And there's going to be 4 ebooks. The third ebook will be due out in December of this year. The fourth and final ebook will be due in May of 2023. And then at the end of 2023, December, I will have a physical paperback copy of all 4 ebooks plus an additional 25 dark haiku. So a total of 125 in my physical paperback. And I'm hoping to do a tour across the world. And okay, I'll stop right there. Angela, one of your favorites, the first one you read, Hurricane Laughter.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. This is the studio version with music and sound effects. And the narrator is Mark Pierce. Wonderful guy, great voice. Here it is. Well, that's my version. Hang on, hold on. Hurricane laughter into the eye of my storm. There is no shelter. Okay. I had my version, and then here's Mark's version. Okay, I'll interrupt myself. Here we go.
Hurricane laughter into the eye of my storm. There is no shelter.
Okay, there you go. Much better narration voice than mine. And one of these days, I do plan on putting most of these dark haiku, putting some music and narration. So be on the lookout for that. Um, Thank you, Angela, for sharing that, and I can't wait to read your review on the first book, which is called In the Dead of Night. Great stuff. Freddie, are you here?
I am, but I'm eating, and I totally forgot about tonight's event.
Would you like to read, or are you?
Yeah, in a little while.
Okay,
And
well, we won't be streaming too much longer here, but we'll get back with you. We're gonna go round robin and ask people to share their scary stories, and hopefully by that time you'll be finished with your dinner, and we'll have you read for 5 minutes. Does that sound good?
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Should it be scary?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Should it be scary stories only or not?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you took the time to drop in, so whatever you got to share will be fine.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to make it scary, just put on a scary countenance while you read, maybe.
Okay.
Thank you, Freddie. Okay, let's bring it back over to Angela. This will be our segment where we ask for people to share their real life spooky stories. So, Angela, you're able to see when people raise their hands, right?
Yes. Well, actually, I might not be able to because I only see Vincent, Judy, and Janet on my screen. And I seem to have no other people in here with me.
And that is correct. Everybody else left. It's just you three. William just raised his hand. Okay, I can take care of this because I get a Zoom message in my headset that said
Okay.
William raised his hand. So,
Okay, excellent.
but if you want to butt in, just unmute yourself and we'll get you on here. So anyway, so what we're gonna do here, when we ask you to tell a little story, a minute, not too long. We don't want to keep people, hanging on too long tonight. So just be mindful of that, and we will kind of take it from there. So William, we heard your name, so we'll bring you in here, and we'll go from there when we ask people who would like to read. I mean, share their story. So anyway, what scary story that you have for us, William?
Sounds good. I've got a NaNoWriMo meeting to go to right now, so I always like to. You ever write one of those 4-word scary stories? So I always write a very true one, and I always say I was married. M dash twice. That's my scary story.
That you were married?
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
William, I would like to bring in right now to our Zoom conversation your first and second wife on the line here. And they would like to have a few words with you.
Wait, where did he go?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to be a Springer moment, let me tell you. Well, thank you so much for having me this evening. It's been fun.
Well, thank you, William, and hopefully you will not be a stranger to SpoFest. Hopefully we'll see you from this point forward. So thank you again. Big round of applause for William. Great stuff, dude.
Yay.
Okay, who else would like to share something, maybe their wife that they married or didn't marry or something like that? Raise your hand or yell out, me. And again, we're asking people to share a little something scary that took place in their lives.
Janet's waving her hand.
Who is?
Janet.
Oh, Janet. What say you?
Well, this occurred when I was 10 years old. It's hard to tell this in a short version. I'll try. My family inherited a house from a neighbor who was a doctor. And he had come to our house for Sunday dinner, and he had gone home and gone into the summer kitchen, and it had 2 kitchens, and killed himself. And he was a cousin of Ernest Hemingway, and had gone to the same medical school in Chicago with Hemingway's father, and which kind of adds a little something to the story. But the bad part about it was that after they inherited the house, my parents found these manuscripts that he left behind, claiming that he had done away with about 8 people in the city where we lived, and described what he had done. And he was an avid bridge player. And apparently that was how he did away with most of them, was putting a little something in their dessert. And they were all dead. My parents, of course, were shocked, went to a lawyer, showed him the manuscript. And then the lawyer said, you should forget you ever saw this. For one thing, it would involve digging up all these people and trying to prove that they'd been poisoned. Secondly, which I didn't actually hear about or even think about until I was grown up, their families would have sued the estate. And so all of this would have gone away. So anyway, we lived in that house for 4 years. And that was one of the stipulations of the inheritance, was that we had to live in the house. And all kinds of bad things happened. My dad got glaucoma, nearly went blind. I fell down an entire flight of stairs and broke my back. My mother developed all these fears and allergies and things. And finally, our family doctor said, you've got to get the hell out of there. So we did. My parents sold the house. We moved as far away as we could in the same town. And, but I think nobody in our family actually ever got over it. So that's my real horror story. That's it.
Wow. If I would have known it was going to be that, I would have kept you for the very last. Wow.
Something to sleep on, huh?
Yeah, that was really scary and interesting.
Or toss and turn on. Wow. So your family doctor, because, family doctors are very, pragmatic, he actually said, get the hell out of there.
He did.
Wow.
He said, you have to go. And
yeah, get out.
And we did.
Sounds like Stephen King wrote the screenplay for your life.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And a cousin of Ernest Hemingway. How about that? That is.
There was a painting in the house that Hemingway's mother had painted, and it was called Across the River and Through the Trees. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and the other thing was that there was supposed to be money involved. There was supposed to be money in the house, but this evil nephew was given access to the house before my parents were, which should not have happened, but it did. And when my parents got to the house, it was basically ransacked. And they were told that the money would probably be in the steamer trunk, and it had been completely torn apart. There wasn't anything they could do about it. They couldn't even bring it up because it technically was an illegal thing to do. It was a way of circumventing inheritance tax. Mm-hmm. So they just had to forget it. And it was supposed to be $100,000 in 1953. So.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I see a couple of poems and a couple of short stories there.
Actually, it's a chapter in my memoir.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be excellent in a memoir.
I did try to write a poem about it, and it was kind of hard to do. It's hard to squeeze all that in.
Yeah. That is wild. Well, thank you, Janet, for sharing that hair tingling. Is that what they say? Hair tingling or what tingling?
Tingling.
Oh yeah, thank you. I don't know where I got. Well, you have your spine tingle. I have my hair tingle. Okay.
There you go.
Hair tingling, spine tingling.
Yeah.
Spine tingling, spine tingling. Oh, that's good stuff. Angela, we are going to turn and look for hands in the air, disembodied hand floating in the air. Judy! And we have two other people raise their hands. So, Judy, you go first because I heard your name in my head first.
Okay.
So, what does Judy have to bring to the table of horror and mayhem?
It's funny. I was just relating part of this story to TA. So years ago, we had poetry at the Conklin Barn, Huntington, Long Island, supposedly haunted. But we did poetry readings there. I had a bat fly over my head one time during reading, and I didn't see it, but it was good. So the host was the first Suffolk County Poet Laureate, George Wallace, and he had to go to the Conklin House, the museum, to lock up because there were no facilities in the barn. And he was truly, truly frightened. They locked him in a number of times. They turned off the lights. They locked him in a bathroom one time. He was very frightened. And he told me this story. And I took a tour with a friend of mine. And we were up on the second floor. So exciting. The docent was just so excited. We went into a bedroom that had no furniture in it except for one piece because there were closets. It was the first house on Long Island with closets. Like we never saw a closet before in our life, but here we are excited. And they're next to a fireplace. Pretty dangerous, but okay. So we're looking at the closets, and the one piece of furniture was a chifforobe. And the three of us in the closet, we hear bang. The doors on the chifforobe flew open, banged back on their piano hinge several times. We were a little frightened. The docent was an older woman. I was kind of afraid for her health. And so we crept up closer, and I laughed because there were 3 shelves and they were filled with shoes. Moccasins with beads and all, but shoes. I collect shoes. And I stood there and laughed. The docent now is trying to close the doors. They will not close. They kept banging shut, banging open. And finally, my friend said, you better get out of the room because it's not going to close with you in here. And sure enough, I went out into the hall and the docent closed the doors, and that was that. Kind of that was my mischievous kind of ghost story, and it kind of didn't scare me. But George still shudders when I tell it.
Wow.
I think you were mesmerized by the shoes, maybe.
Oh, it was just remarkable. I'm like, shoes, look at all these shoes. Oh my gosh.
Was it before you started collecting shoes or after?
I've always collected shoes.
Oh, ever since you were half a year old, you were collecting shoes.
I have about 500 pairs, so I guess that's a collection.
Wow.
So, yeah.
500.
Wow, Judy, we could get together. I have the hats, you have the shoes.
Yeah, there we go. We could put a wardrobe together. We just need the middle stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, might get in trouble with just the hats and shoes.
Yeah,
that's where you get it from the exquisite corpse, Angela. You get the torso, put a hat and shoes on it, and then there you go.
I'm going to see if I can make this work. I don't know if it will.
Uh-oh. What is it you are?
Oh, got a glowing pumpkin sweatshirt. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's my glow-in-the-dark sweatshirt. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
With a spider web and cats and boo and a pumpkin. Anyway, that's my fun.
Well, thank you, Judy. That was good stuff. And isn't Halloween fun? You know, to get the living shit scared out of you. You know, I mean that's fun. That's fun. Angela, I'm sure you got some a story to share with us. So we'll get to you. Trust me, I'll get back to you.
I'm not worried.
Okay, who else would like to share a spooky, scary story?
I have one.
Let me guess.
No, it's not that. Don't worry, James.
Okay, The Grinch who stole the bag? Okay, never mind. Okay.
Not this time.
Okay. What do you got for us, Christopher? A spooky, scary story.
Well, this is kind of spooky. So in 2018, my uncle, my mom's twin, died. And he used to live with my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. And we had to move her into a home. So we had to sell her old ranch home. And for months, it wasn't selling, it was not moving anywhere. So my uncle, when he was alive the last few years, had a stroke. So if you're familiar with stroke victims, he was able to walk again, but when he walked, he would do like a stump, like a hump like that. And so we got this realtor who was a friend of my mom's, and she was getting ready for an open house for that weekend, and no one else was in the house. And where she was, it was in the kitchen, but once you went through the kitchen, there was the dining room, the sitting room, and a hallway. She could have sworn she heard in the hallway the footsteps that my uncle used to do. She rushed out of the house immediately and called my mom, freaking out. And also, she also heard one time, she thought that someone sneezed. She clearly heard a male sneeze, and she was the only one in the house. So that's what I got. That's the story.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes.
We could sit here till midnight telling ghost stories. I mean, I am hungry, ready for dinner, but I could hear more ghost stories.
Angela, you're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Because you said that you were going to, do your engagement, then you would, get some dinner in you, and then you would be here. So I guess you didn't have a chance to get dinner, huh?
I did not, and that is because my son, speaking of really scary things, my son cooks. Sometimes he's an excellent cook, but the kitchen is always a little scary afterwards. But it was later tonight, so I won't complain because somebody was cooking for me, but I'm smelling it now.
What are we having?
I smell onions, and I don't know. I smell a lot of cooked onions.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, thank you, Christopher. Anyone else would like to share their spooky, scary?
I just have a quick one. It's Vinny. I live on Long Island, New York, with Judy. Well, we don't live together, but we both live on the same island.
Surprised that you had to make sure you put that caveat in there.
Now that was funny.
So it's kind of ironic because my wife and I, before we lived where we live now, we lived in Wantagh, which many of the towns on Long Island are Native American Indian names. So one day, the backyard of our apartment abutted the Long Island Railroad. So if you imagine looking out your back door, there's just some trees, maybe 20, 30 feet, and then the embankment for the elevated tracks are there, and then the train would run by. So anyway, one day I was coming home from work, and I swear to God, I saw a Native American in front of a fire in the woods. And I looked again, I saw him as clear as day, I looked again, and he was gone. And then we found out that that whole area was once a settlement. So it was a ghost. I saw a ghost, a real live ghost. And that's it. And then a dragon ate my ghost.
That's funny because I was going to say, and the dragons ate them all, right? So do you believe in ghosts?
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, I believe that if there's a presence strong enough to exist in this world, it will leave a smear when it's gone. And I don't know what you call that. Maybe it's called a ghost. Maybe it's called an entity, a presence. I don't know. But I do believe in something. Gotta believe in something, right?
Well, let me ask you: do you think these eerie occurrences, you know, what have you, are they a direct? Do they come from actual people that are doing the haunting, or is it the manifestations of the people's spirit, their energy?
Well, I mean, you can roll it back to the Amityville event. And we were old enough, Judy and I were old enough to know of Ronald DeFeo and what happened. And they say that there were spirits in that house. I believe they say it's always Native American burial grounds. Everything always, and I know it sounds cliche, but that's exactly what happened to me. And I saw that as clear as day. I was vivid. And there was no mushrooms involved. There was nothing like that. I swear to God, I was coherent. I was lucid. It was a regular 3 o'clock and the same as any other day. How do you explain that? Not this time. Yeah, right.
Mushrooms.
But anyway,
those yummy beefsteak mushrooms. Is that what you're referring to? Or?
No, what I'm saying was, it's just, how do you explain the unexplainable?
I know.
How do you swear you hear a voice, or you swear you feel a presence?
The people that would say you're full of shit, well, you just saw an optical illusion. You just think you saw what you saw. It was just like, the way the trees and the branches were situated in such a way, and you know what I mean?
You have other heightened senses, like hearing, olfactory senses. Do you ever feel, let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like you hear something that's impossible? There's no possible way that noise could be occurring, but you're hearing it anyway.
Not so much my hearing, no. I mean, although ever since I went blind, a lot of my information that I take in is through my hearing.
Or maybe you smell. Maybe you smell something that it's the middle of winter and all of a sudden you're smelling hyacinth. How is this possible? And the cleaning lady's not there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I think that there has to be some sort of truth to that.
Like it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and of course this is very explainable, but my caregiver and I, Christy, we were sitting here, and all of a sudden we heard it coming from the refrigerator. And it was just like, what the hell? And we kind of like both looked at each other, and we, me being bold, I opened the refrigerator door. Now, clearly that was probably one of those...
Did you open it up and did it say Zool?
What's that?
Did it say Zool?
That's funny.
No.
Yeah, well, it must have been like, what do you call that? The mechanical part in the refrigerator. What is that called?
I got you. The compressor.
Compressor.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was, but it was weird because it was so loud, and it was insistent, like it was like trying to get, and it's like it's never done that ever since. It was just really weird. It's just, and call it for what you will. Maybe it was just a compressor. Maybe it was actually something like, I don't know, the ghost of my old Dorito salsa that wants out. That's been there for 20 years. Like, get me out of here.
Well, I'm just saying, unexplained phenomena.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it forever. It's got to be like life out there. There has to be. I think there has to be life out there. So if there's life out there, then maybe that there's life here, interdimensionally, that we just can't see, or we see sometimes.
I'd agree, and I think it depends on the person too. Some people are more susceptible to energies like that than other people. I don't
know. It could all be bullshit too. Who knows?
I had to look.
Well, that's good stuff. That's good. And I recently did watch a documentary on Amityville, and of course, how many are there out there? Right? There's so many out there, but it's very. It definitely makes you stop and think.
It made the people who lived in the surrounding communities' lives a living hell. I'll tell you that much. It did. So much so that they had to change the address of the house. So this was before Google, and all that. So it's a sleepy little community. You can't have 100 cars making a right-hand turn to go to the house. It got, and the movie did that. The movie sensationalized it. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Benny, for your contribution.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Stay away from Amityville if you can. Stay away from that. Stay away from that. Who else would like to share some stuff? And Freddie, we still have you on our mind.
I'd like to just talk about an idea quickly, if that's all right. I don't have any.
No, that is not okay. Yeah, go
okay.
Ahead. I was being funny or trying to be.
Oh no, that's all right. I take you to heart.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Here, I have co-host. Do
My
you want
heart
me to
was
mute
just
James?
ripped out of my chest and stomped on. So yeah, I think that's very sad and scary that you would do that.
I'll just mute James. It's okay. I have the power now.
You go ahead and try it, Angela. You see
I just wanted to say that those old gramophones, they had a big bell on them, and you could talk into them, and a needle would scratch vibrations into a wax cylinder, and then you could play it back. You know about that? That was back in the 19th century, I think, that they developed that. Well,
I'm not aware of that. No.
Okay. Well, you know what a phonograph record is.
Yes.
All right. So the sound vibrations are impressed on the vinyl, right? You put the needle on it. It quivers with the vibrations of the groove as the record player turns around and makes sound.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So some archaeologists had some handmade pots that they found in Greece that were around 2,000 years old, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. I don't remember exactly. But they were shaped by hand on a potter's wheel. And they thought, okay, well, they were probably talking in there while they were making the pots and so forth. And they did find a way to actually listen to at least fragments of voices that were talking back when those pots were made. Now that's 2,000 years. Do you think that's the only way that people, spirits, entities leave an impression on an environment? Some places you walk into, and this has happened to me. I don't consider myself to have had a spooky life, but I've been places, and right away, the feeling that you get from that place tells you something, and it might not necessarily be scary, but it can be very scary. And I just believe that, to be alive is to leave impressions on your environment all the time. And we're not the only things necessarily that are alive. I have to laugh at physicists that say, well, we understand this now because they are descended from generation after generation after generation of physicists who also said, no, the way we've been thinking, it's all wrong. It's like this, right? Our understandings of the universe continually change. And I think we're missing a hell of a lot. And I don't think they think we're missing much, but I think we are. That's what I wanted to say.
I agree, and that is very provocative to think that we could actually hear a voice or two from 2,000 years ago in a record.
I know, right?
That is.
They couldn't have figured that out then. They didn't have that technology yet.
Yeah,
Nobody figured that out, but it was possible then.
Well, yeah, and we know it's possible now to inscribe, data into the record.
Sure. But what about the things we don't know? What kind of impressions are we leaving on our
Yeah.
environment that we're not even aware of because we never
Oh, yeah.
thought of it yet?
I know it's it's mind-boggling to say the least, and that's definitely some food for thought. Um, all right, good stuff. Anybody else would like to contribute to tonight's scary segment? This is where you share something that happened to you in real life that was of significance and it scared the shit out of you.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Buddy.
Actually, it is a little story that morphed into a poem decades later. And I was born in South America, and one day we went kind of into the jungle. And that was the first time that I did that. I had a little party of maybe 12, 15 people, my parents, my sister, kids, and all that, with a guide. And he led us through the forest, the South American jungle. And it was quite interesting, all those sounds that nobody knew what they were. Although the guide would say, okay, that's that and that bird or that and that animal, and so on. And at some point, I was kind of lagging behind, looking at a flower here, something odd there. And I felt like, oh, gee, I can be on my own, you know. And I heard that the group was getting farther and farther away. I heard the voices, and at some point, not anymore. And then the voices of the forest, the jungle, they suddenly came up to me. And at some point, I really got scared. I made it out of there, otherwise I wouldn't have been here. And at some point, I thought, hey, I'm going to write something about it. So I have this thing, a tropical jungle in the Amazon. And it is a lyrical, dramatic tableau in two semi-identical parts. So there's two parts to it. One is called innocence, and the second is fear. So it is dramatic, and it's also a little bit farcical towards the end. And you will feel the fear, I'll promise. Innocence, mysteriously beautiful, morning sunlight streaming in on gleaming, opulent green. Darker flora at one side of a tall, magnificent mahogany tree. Thick drops of dew on graceful fern twigs, grandly bowing down. Yellow-billed toucans screaming at one another high in trees. A timid red hibiscus flower opening up beneath. A sudden thump on the forest floor, and another one. A dead branch falling. Coconuts dropping. The nameless presence of lurking unknown gods, peering out of more than 1,000 eyes. Heavy silence, the onset of tangible heat. A loose liana hanging down motionless. The morning call of monkeys, almost musical. Singing of birds, magical. An abrupt rustle in the underbrush. Creaking dead wood as if surreptitiously being stepped on. A hungry beast of prey. A creepy croc or anaconda. A pack of Kokoma cannibals. A silence of ages. My imagination? Who knows? Fear. Dangerously beautiful. Deep, poisonous green and patches of lurid light obliquely streaking past a hidden horrid pair of eyes. an immense shadow by the side of a mahogany tree. The distinct presence of dark, perhaps deadly entities. Stifling silence. Heat. Crushing heat. Inconceivable heat. A flesh-eating flower, blood red. A violent stir in the undergrowth. A panther on the prowl. A boa looking for lunch. Or some other man-eating animal. Or some very hungry cannibals about to feast after fasting for 11 days and a half. Ah, what's that stab in the middle of my back? An arrow dipped in poison, or just a fatal heart attack? A twitching nerve along my spinal marrow? A liana sweeping in circle before me, blood-curdling cries all around me, cannibalistic laughter and drums, 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 tremendous drums, ape-like shrieks and eyes, 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 everywhere eyes, 10,000 eyes. 5,000 cannibals? What kind of cannibal? Kokomas who roast you live with clothes on? Tucanos who boil your heart and entrails? Tupuyas who chop you up and swallow you raw? Are they going to suck up my blood with a straw? Why on earth did I get so big and fat? Why did mom always feed me like that? Couldn't I leave all those calories alone? Will hungry cannibals leave me alone? No! Aren't they coming down now in endless rows? Are they? But where are they? A silence of 10,000 ages. No cannibals? A sudden bang on the forest floor, quite close. And another one, and another. Coconuts? Cannibals? My imagination? Who knows? Thank you.
That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. Thank you for that.
Okay. I'll put some notes in the chat. Yeah, thank you. Was it scary enough? Are you still alive or what?
We are still recuperating from,
Okay.
from that. But no, obviously what you have written was it's great, but you have a great sense of narration timing.
Thank you.
It's like you know how to what speed and what rhythm to read your stuff, and you have perfect timing, and it all add to help to accentuate your piece as a whole. So great stuff.
Thanks. A pleasure.
Okay, Angela, have you are you okay? Have you recovered from your shock?
I think so. I don't know if I can quite follow that up though.
I don't think any of us could. Yeah. So, does Angela? I'm sure Angela has a scary life, a real life story. So
I have so many because I grew up in
Oh.
haunted houses, and yeah, we won't even get into all the scary stuff because that was pretty much my life. There's a reason why I write horror. But I will share just the one about the Nikekubi, and I will keep it short because I know everybody has Halloween candy that they want to get to and other amazing things, and I'm smelling fried onions right now. But the Nikekubi was in Tennessee. I was 13 and I moved into my grandmother's house temporarily in Sweetwater, Tennessee. and I came from Washington, D.C. So it was like a huge culture shock. It was just, and I went from, it was actually Cheyenne, Wyoming on my way to Washington, D.C. And I stopped in Sweetwater, Tennessee for 3 or 6 months on that whole moving journey. And so there's a lot of culture shock. But when we were in Tennessee, my grandmother lived in an old haunted Victorian house. And there's many stories with that house that I will not regale you with. But specifically the Nikekubi, every Friday, my grandmother would go visit Mrs. Jacob across the street. And so that was my cue to go sample the things in my grandmother's bar. Because as a 13-year-old, I wanted to taste what all the alcohols tasted like. So she had gone across the street, and like every Friday, I watched her through the little leaded stained glass windows. She went into Mrs. Jacob's house. I went into the bar room. And then as I walked in this time, I heard 3 sharp raps. Well, it was 1 sharp rap on the plastic record player cover. And I don't know, I mean, I think we all probably remember those old record players with the plastic amber colored covers. And so, in a horror movie, you're always like, don't go there. I wouldn't go there. How stupid that person is. But I went there. And I started creeping towards it to find out what made the strange noise, because there was nothing around the record player. And I was trying to see if it was, maybe the window, maybe, there was something like a mouse caught in the record player. And so as I moved up, there was another sharp rap. And again, instead of running away, like I should have probably, I crept forward even slower and a little more nervous, but I was still determined to find out what was making that noise. And then there was a 3rd rap. And then all of a sudden to my left, I realized the chandelier was shaking. And it was this huge chandelier with all these crystals. This place was pretty much a mansion, but pretty like run down, not very snazzy and ritzy anymore. But the chandelier was shaking. And as I looked up, I realized I could see something in it, but it looked like the distortion over a fire. So everything behind the chandelier and the little crystals was warped, and the whole thing was shaking. And I started hearing wind in my head, possibly, or maybe the wind was really there, but it sounded like there was like hurricane winds around me. So, I mean, I didn't do anything except stare in shock. And for a few minutes, it felt like a few minutes, we stood there because I felt like there was something watching me from the chandelier, and we stared at each other. And then all of a sudden it just swooped down out of the chandelier towards me. Then I did run. I ran out to the front of just outside of that room. And I stopped in the hallway and turned around because I was kind of thinking, surely this is not real. And that warping of air, the heat kind of warping look was in the doorway of that room, still there. And so again, I was just kind of like, am I really seeing this? No mushrooms were involved at this time. But I just was shocked, trying to process what was happening. And then it swooped again. So out onto the front porch I went, and I stopped, and I remember thinking, if I run away, it's going to keep following me, and nobody will know where I am. Like, it will get me. And, but every time I turn to look at it, that's when it's coming after me. So I'm not going to look at it. So I stayed there on that front porch, probably for minutes, but it felt like forever, like a year. But while I was standing there and I was looking across the street at my grandmother, at Mrs. Jacob's house, and where my grandmother was having coffee, selfishly ignoring me over here that was being haunted by this ghost. As I stared at the house in front of me, it's like I could see also behind me. And behind me, I saw this Nikekubi, and it was a woman's face pressed up against the glass, and it was wet. And she had the neck cords just hanging out of her like ripped throat, and her face was all swollen. Of course, I'd never seen a drowned body before. But later in life, that's what it looked like. It looked like somebody who had been drowned and the head had been ripped off. And she was just screaming out the glass at me, but it was silent. She was making no noise. And then my grandmother came home, And I told her what had happened because I probably looked pretty freaked out on the porch. And I told her what happened, and we literally moved like that day. And I found out, I mean, in my 13-year-old mind, it felt like that night we left. It probably was that weekend, but it felt like we were out. And we stayed in a hotel, and then she found another place to live, and we left the furniture and everything there. That wasn't the only thing that happened in that house, but after, like probably a month or two after, I think I was musing about like that she believed me, you know, as a 13-year-old kid, because nobody ever believed me. And I came up with stuff all the time like this. I was always telling people about ghosts I saw, or, you know, whatever, or dragons. I still swear I saw that dragon. So everybody generally ignored me. And so I asked my grandmother why she had believed me. And she said, because the people that had lived in that house had been driving to Knoxville one night. And this sounds like straight out of Hollywood to me, but this is the story she told me. There was something like sheet metal on a truck or perhaps plywood, and they were driving in a convertible. And if you've ever driven to Knoxville, you know that it's like a real curvy little road coming from Sweetwater, Tennessee towards Knoxville. And it just kind of plunges off the side. They don't believe in guardrails there, apparently. And there's water, like a lake, or I think it's a river underneath it. So they had been driving, and then this sheet metal or whatever came off, you know, decapitated them, and the car went off into the water. And they brought the bodies back. Well, when they recovered the bodies, they took all the jewelry and everything and left it in that house. And that's why that house was abandoned, because nobody really wanted to, you know, have the memories of that. And I knew where all that jewelry was, and I had gone and played with it all the time. I used to wear it around the house because it was this old, weird jewelry, and there was all these little picture frames on glass, pictures on glass of these old spooky people. And so I had plenty of experience with their belongings, which makes me think why she was angry at me. So, but yeah, and that was that. Yeah, then the mushrooms did come later, Vincent. But talking about cooking mushrooms, of course.
And the dragons ate them all.
Yes, and then the dragons came and rescued me and ate the ghost.
Oh, the dragon rescued you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because of the one that I had seen, you know. So
Right, yeah. That is
Angela, what's the name of the follower ghost in the folklore? Does she have a name?
Asian ghost?
Yeah, the follower ghost, or the ghost of the follower. I thought I thought I had heard you say something the last time you were listing the ghosts in mythology.
I don't think I have a follower ghost that I particularly know of. I know I've talked about like hungry ghosts and
Yes, the hungry ghost.
yeah. Well, and there's a lot of lore, Asian lore, like for like say Asians, and I don't know if this is across all Asian cultures, but like specifically Chinese, will not buy a house at the end of a road because the ghosts they just kind of shoot along. Ghosts will go to the path of least resistance. So they'll just come along, and if your house is in front of a road, they'll just come right in your house. And you can never have a house that has the front door and the back door in line, because the ghost can come in and get lost, and your luck will run out the back door.
Sort of like a crab trap.
Yeah, except it's your house, and you don't want that. So if you ever do have a house like that, you have to build like a little wall or something to like divert the ghosts so they'll go in another way.
Right. So that's how feng shui was created.
Yeah, and well, and we don't have all night, but feng shui is based on the Loshu magic square, which is super interesting because the magic square is the basis of Tai Chi and a lot of the martial arts, and you know the hocus pocus, you know, when you see the like Hermione, you know, swish, don't do this, and you have to make the movements. That's actually how you activate the Loshu magic square. Because it's a grid that you have in front of you, and certain hand movements, which is also Tai Chi, is activating that Loshu magic square. But anyways, I'm like way digressing.
and also excellent ways to open up portals into other dimensions.
Exactly. You just have to figure out which numbers you're hitting, kind of like Simon Says, but magic squares. So that was way too much information. So I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
Very
that was great, Angela.
Thank
yes,
you.
very fascinating. And now we know why you are the way you are now.
Yes, it is all my earliest memory of all memories, like that little thing that you remember as a toddler, was me floating in my bed and dropping and realizing that was real. Like, oh, I really was floating, like as a toddler, not comprehending. And then my parents have a story about how I somehow got out of my crib and went into a locked basement and almost got killed because my dad thought I was a burglar because I was sitting up in the window laughing. And so in a locked basement, and that basement has its own stories, and the door used to get kicked open every night from the inside. So
From
but
the inside.
yes, don't get me started on spooky stories.
Well, if we had a couple more hours, I would definitely get you started. But okay, well, I don't really have anything to contribute that can really compete with what Vincent and all of you actually provided, Angela and Judy and Freddie and especially Janet Wheeler. There's a lot of really good stuff. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for dropping in and sharing your Halloween-related poetry and prose, and of course your scary story. And want to remind you that tomorrow is our next Must Watch SpoFest event. Our featured readers will be Gregory Seth Harris and Shirley Jankowski Smith. I thought it was Shelley, but it's actually Shirley Jankowski Smith. And of course, our guest author is poet and teacher and U.S. National Beat Poet Laureate John Burroughs. And so stay with me here. I'm going to play the little intro that we played at the beginning, and I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to stop the live stream, and then we can kind of talk a little bit after everything is shut down. So thank you again, and we will hopefully see you at the next Halloween event in 2023. So stay right there.